Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class, which is given by Srila Prabhupada. It's a recording of a class that he gave on October 15, 1974 in Mayapur. This is Canto 1, Chapter 8, which is prayers by Queen Kunti. And today we're doing text 35. Please kick up your listening devices volume. Sometimes it's low here on the original recording. All right, so without further ado, we'll start the class. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhave us to rejuvenate the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshiping, and so on, in order that the conditioned souls suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation.
Bhave asmin klishmananam avidya kamakarmani. Bhave asmin klishmananam avidya kamakarmabhi sabanas maranarhani karishan iti kechana. This is a very important verse. Bhave asmin. Asmin means this, and bhave, the material world. Bhava means to grow, and grow means which has taken birth. That requires grow. In the material world, there are 6 kinds of changes. First of all, birth, then grow, then stay for some time, then producing some byproduct, then diminishing, dwindling, and then vanish. These are the 6 kinds of changes. That's like this body. It has taken birth at a certain date, and it has grown, that the child is growing. And growing, it will stay, not immediately vanish, it will stay. And while staying, it will create some byproduct. From this body, so many sons and daughters will come, byproduct. Even tree, they produce also, everyone. Then it becomes old, no more strength, and when it is very old, finish. These are called Saravika. That is on account of this body. So, after finishing this body, then I am not finished. I am there. I am this gross body finished, but I am within this subtle body, mind, intelligence and ego. The subtle body carries me to another gross body. These so-called scientists, medical men, they cannot see the subtle body. Although one has to accept, it's like, I have got mind, you have got mind, but I cannot see your mind, you cannot see my mind. I have got intelligence, you have got intelligence, everyone knows. But you cannot see my intelligence, I cannot see your intelligence. They are very subtle. So, and beyond that, the spirit soul is still subtle, so minute quantum. So what these material scientists will see, they cannot see the mind, intelligence, ego, and what to speak of the soul. Therefore they say this body is everything and there is nothing more. But actually that is not the fact. The fact is that the spirit soul is very, very small. Keshagra sadabhagasya satadha kolipitasya cha. Keshagra, the tip of the hair, agravak, front portion, satabhagasya, you divide into, can you do it? Take one hair and divide it into 100 parts? No, that is not possible. But the direction is there. If you can do it. Satabhagasya, then again take one part of that satabhag, 100 part, again make it 100 part. It is not possible, impossible by the so-called scientists. But how to learn? Then you have to learn from the authority. It is like this, that much. It is not under your experimental knowledge. That is not possible. Because your knowledge is so imperfect, you cannot deal with these things. But these rascals, they think, because they cannot deal with these things, they think that the matter is the cause of life. That's all. Matter, material. But that is, they have not been able to do so. Take matter in the laboratory, chemicals, and produce a small insect with hands and legs and eyes. We see every night. Small, very, very small, but still it has got hands, legs and everything. Eyes, otherwise how they are coming to the light? Very small. So we are getting bhava. Bhava from the small insect up to the Brahma. Abrahma bhavana stamba. Abrahma stamba. Everyone. That is called bhava. There are 8,400,000 different forms of life, and we are finishing one body, entering another body. Tatha dehantara prapti. Krishna says, either you have to reject Krishna's word or you have to reject all this so-called scientific research. But we are placed to Krishna consciousness. We cannot reject Krishna's word. So it is accepted that tatha dehantara prapti. Now Krishna says that you have to accept another body. Everyone has to accept. Now he does not say that after this body the next change will be this body. He does not say. He does not say. So, because that will depend, as it is said here, avidya kama karma bhi. Avidya, every living entity is within this material world under avidya. Avidya karma sangha anya titiya shaktirishati. There are many potencies of God, Krishna, Parasa Shakti, Vividhaiva Sriyate, many, millions. So they have been summarized into three. What is that? The external potency, internal potency. Two, and third, marginal potency. The marginal potency and internal potency, they are of the same quality. They are same quality. And there is another potency that is called external potency. What is that external potency? Na avidya karma sangha anya titiya shakti rishyati. Vishnu Shakti para proktya khetro jnakhya tatha para. Vishnu Shakti, the Lord's potency, is para, that is spiritual. Vishnu Shakti para. And Vishnu Shakti Parasa, Vishnu Shakti and Khetragya kha tatha para. And Khetragya, the living entities, the Khetragya is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Idam sariram khetram iti abhidhiyate. And one who knows this Khetra, Khetragya iti abhidhiyate, these are stated in the Bhagavad Gita. So the living entity is Khetragya. So Khetragya is also para. But besides these two Shakti, there is another Titiya Shakti which is avidya. Everything in ignorance. Here in this material world, everyone is in ignorance. Everyone. Even Brahma. Brahma, he was ignorant, but he was given knowledge by Krishna. Tini Brahma Rida. Adikavi. Adikavi means Brahma. So the Vedic knowledge, Tini Brahma, Brahma means this Vedic knowledge, Sabda Brahma. So there was one creature, Brahma only, and he was educated. How he was educated? Hrida, Ishara Sarvabhutanam Riddesha Arjuna Dishtat. Because at that time there is no other way but to transfer the knowledge from within. Buddhi yogam dadamitam jinamam upajanti te. That is Chaitya Guru, Krishna, Paramatma. So Brahma is also educated. That means beginning from Brahma down to the small insect, they are all in ignorance. All fools and rascals. That is the constitutional position. Nobody should be proud of his knowledge. Everyone is a rascal. Everyone. Here it is said, Klishyamananam avidya kama karma bhi. So Brahma is desiring that if I can get the opportunity, the post of Brahma, and I can create a big universe. He was also thinking like that. And the small insects, it is also thinking like that. If I can create a small hole within the room, then I can live very peacefully. And the same purpose. As Brahma is thinking to create an universe, you are thinking to create a skyscraper building. The ant is thinking to create a hole within the room. The quality of the work is the same. But because we are fools, that these things are material, it will not stay. On account of ignorance, we are thinking that this will be very nice, this will be very nice, this will be very nice. Kama karma bhi, creating some kama desire and working in that. Therefore, klishanti, to become Brahma, that is not very easy thing. Brahma is such a big post, very qualified, highly advanced in austerities, penance. He is given, he is also a living entity. Just like in your America, you are also a citizen, and President Nixon or Ford, he is also a citizen. But by dint of his ardent labor and diplomacy, this way, he has captured that post. But he is an ordinary citizen. Just like President Nixon, now he is dragged down. He is no more President, ordinary citizen. Similarly, if you like, you can also become Brahma. Kama karma bhi. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Brahma janme nahi moro as. Kita janma ho jatha tu adas. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song. They let me become one insect where there is your devotee. Because if I fall down on the dust of the devotee, my life will be successful. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Kita janma ho jatha tuva. Bohirmukh Brahma. Brahma janma is not easy, it is very difficult. But if Brahma is Bohirmukh, Bohirmukh means not devotee of Krishna. It is possible because we are in ignorance, Maya. At any time we can forget Krishna. Therefore we have to always be engaged in Krishna consciousness so that we may not forget Krishna. That is stated here. Sravana smarana arahana. Sravana means hearing, and smarana means memorizing, and arahana means worshipping the deity. If you engage yourself always in this business, all these centers are being opened only for this business. Chanting, dancing, worshipping, so that we may not forget Krishna. So, sada tadabhava bhavita. If we are always engaged in thinking of Krishna, then there is chance at the end of life, ante narayana smriti. Then there is chance. Everything has to be practiced, just like if you want to dance in the stage. So, you have to perform many rehearsals. How to dance, how to dance, how to dance. Then, if you become expert dancer, then when you dance on the stage, you get pat. Very good dancer. But that very good dancer, you cannot say, I go immediately to the stage and I become a good dancer. That is not possible. If one says, no, I shall not attend the rehearsal. You give me the stage, I say, no director will allow him. Then he is a rascal. He is a rascal. You cannot become all of a nice dancer without practicing it. So, real purpose of life is ante narayana smriti. Jang jang papi smarana bhavang tajatante. If at the time of death you can remember, you can memorize Krishna, then your life is successful. Smarana. So, it has to be practiced. You have got that? You could not? Kiratam Hunanda Pulinda Pukkasa. Kiratam. He knows. Second canto, fourth chapter. So, asmin bhave, this is the problem. These rascals, they do not care to understand. They are so absorbed in ignorance, just like some of the, what is called, smugglers. Smugglers, they go on with their work. They do not know, some of them know also, that we will be punished, we will be arrested, still they go on. That is the difficulty. A thief knows that if I am arrested for this criminal act, I will be punished. He knows it. And perhaps he has been punished several times, but still he commits the same thing. Still he steals. Puna puna chadvita chadvana. So why? Ignorance. Ignorance. So therefore this very word it is, avidya. He never thinks, he is so much absorbed in ignorance that he has no time to think that repeatedly I am stealing and repeatedly I am arrested and I am punished, I am sent to jail. Why I am doing this? The result is not very good. Just like a person too much sexually inclined, he suffers in so many venereal diseases, undergoes operation, and still he goes to prostitute, again does the same thing. This is avaidha stri sangha, illegitimate. Legitimate also. After sex, the woman is pregnant and she has to suffer for 10 months, and at the time of delivery it is very dangerous sometimes. And the man also, after he gets the child, he has to take care of the child, he has to work hard to give education. This is proper sex. The proper sex, there are so many difficulties. And what to speak of the improper sex? You kill the child, you take contraceptive, you make this, you make that. Therefore Shastra says, Bahu dukkha bhaja. After sex life, there are so many troubles. Bahu dukkha bhaja. Simply trouble. Either legitimate or illegitimate. Simply trouble. Tripantani, hakkripana. But because he is a rascal, ignorant, he is not satisfied. Again does the same thing. Puna puna chadvita chadvana. Again. This is called bhavaroga. Janmaithanadi grahamedi sukham mitucham kanduyanena karayu riva dukkha dukkham. Riva dukkha dukkham. Simply trouble. Therefore Vedic civilization is to train this small boy to remain a brahmachari, not to take trouble. But if one is unable, he is allowed. So, on being trained up in the beginning as brahmachari, he does not stay for many years in the family life. he retires very soon and becomes Vanaprastha, then sannyas. That is the training. So here it is said, Klishyamananam, everyone is suffering. Birds, beasts, animals, and trees, plants, and even Brahma, even Indra. Indra is also not safe. He is always anxious. Nobody competitor may not come. So here in this material world, everyone is klishsamana, suffering, at least with anxiety. Sada samudvigna asatgrahat tat sadhu manne suravarja dehinam sada samudvigna dhyam asatgrahat. Everyone in this material world, always anxiety. Klishsamana nam, that British called Asmin bhave klishsamana nam. Why klishsamana nam? Why they are always suffering in anxiety? Avidya kama karma bhi. Because they are rascals. Therefore, Krishna is giving so much stress, you rascal, give up all this business, you surrender unto me. Because everyone is rascal. That is Krishna's very good mercy. He is the Supreme Father. Therefore, directly he says, Sarva Guhyatam, this is the most confidential knowledge I am giving you. Rascal, you give up everything and simply surrender unto me. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam. Yes. That is required. So Kunti says that you have come to teach rascals like these and engage them in this business, savanas, smarana, arahana. Savana, because this is bhakti. Savanam kirtanam Vishnu. But they are so rascals, as soon as the Vaishnavas begin Savanam kirtanam Vishnu, the rascal Swami will say, no, any name Savan will do. Any name. Why Vishnu or Kali? You know, in Bengal there is a party, Kali Kirtan. What is this nonsense, Kali Kirtan? In the Shastra there is no such thing as Kali Kirtan. Kirtan means Savanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Vishnu Kirtan. But these rascals have discovered, because they have very fertile brain, and they can discover something. Jatamat tatamat. I have discovered this. What is this? Kali Kirtan. Durga Kirtan. But Shastra does not say. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not say. Shastra says, Hare Nama. The holy name of Hari, Krishna. Not any other name. Not any other name. So, Savanam Kirtanam Vishnu. When there is question of Savanam, Arahanam, and these things are of Vishnu. Where is that verse? Jat Savanam, Jat Kirtanam. So this, yes. So this Savanam Kirtanam has been described by Shukdev Goswami in Canto 2, Chapter 4, very nicely. He said, Jat Kirtanam, Jat Smaranam, Jat Ikshanam, Jat Bandhanam, Jat Savanam, Jat Arahanam, Lokasya Saddha Vidhanoti. Kalmasam Tasmai Subhadda Savasi Namo Namo. Very nicely explained. Shukdev Goswami, before speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, he is offering his obeisances to Krishna. What is that? I offer my obeisances, tasmai, unto him. Subhadra Sravase, simply hearing of him is Subhadra, not Abhadra. Subhadra. Subhadra Sravase Namo Namo. So, Sukadeva Goswami, Jat Kirtanam, Jat Smaranam. Either you glorify Krishna. There are so many glorifications. The whole Bhagavad is glorification. So you have got, this is the glorification by Sukadeva Goswami. Jat Kirtanam, Jat Smaranam. Either you glorify or simply meditate upon him, Jat Smaranam. Jat Ikshanam. Simply if you sit down in front of the deity and go on seeing, bas. Do nothing. Simply see how nicely dressed is Krishna, how nicely dressed is Radharani. Simply if you see, it is said, Jad Ikshanam, Jad Ikshanam. Sravanam Kirtanam, if you have no capacity to chant, or if you have no such fixed up mind, your mind is so disturbing that you cannot fix up your mind in Krishna, then the chance is given here is deity, you simply see. Simply see. And if you are engaged in the service, there is good chance of seeing always 24 hours. While you are cleansing the floor of the temple or the room, you are seeing. You are dressing, you are seeing. You are bathing, you are seeing. You are offering food, you are seeing. This is the process. So people are so rascals, they do not come even to see. They are so fallen down. They do not come. What is this? Deity worship. Idol worship. Idol worship. They will worship Gandhi statue and this statue, that statue. But when they are asked to come here and see the deity worship nicely, no, this is the idol worship. And I have seen in Calcutta that Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee statue there is in the Chaurangi Square. So in the morning, these ordinary sweepers, they will cleanse the statue with that brush, because whole year the crows have passed stool on the face. So it has become a very solid stool, fixed up. So I have seen it, brushing like this. This is their archanam. This is allowed. And if you worship the deity, bathe the deity, this is idol worship. And that municipal brush, sweeping brush, and on the face of Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee, brushing, that is very good. Just see how much rascal there. In the morning this business is done, and in the evening all big men will come and flowering, garland, full of garlands. And after evening they will go away, and again next morning the crows will pass too. That kind of worship is accepted. And if you install deity of Krishna and worship him nicely, these are for the fools and rascals, less intelligent. And he is very intelligent. This is going all over the world. They are worshipping Napoleon, they are worshipping, I have seen in Paris, Napoleon statue. France and Napoleon one. I asked them, where is your Napoleon? France is there, but where is your Napoleon? So these things are going on all over the world. Why? No, avidya. The disease is avidya kama karma bhi. So people are so much embarrassed with this avidya kama karma bhi, and to educate them, to rescue them from these clutches of avidya kama karma bhi is this savanam kirtanam Vishnu smaranam padasi. That is the seventh substance. So that is explained in this verse also by Sukadeva Goswami. Jat kirtanam jat smaranam jat ikshanam. Kirtanam, smaranam, and if you are unable to do that, just like these children, they cannot meditate. That simply they sit down and see Krishna. Here is Krishna, here is Radharani. That is also a small child. He also gets the benefit. An animal gets the benefit. Simply by seeing. Jat bandhanam. And if you are still more intelligent, then offer prayer. Either of these. Jat bandhanam, jat shravanam, jat arahanam. This similar parallels, arahanam. If you are expert, trained by your spiritual master how to worship, that is arahanam. And shravanam, the same thing. Jat bandhanam, offering prayers. Somewhere or other. Therefore, I say that the Christian, they are also Vaishnava. The Muslim, they are also Vaishnava. Very lower stage, because they are offering prayer, Jat bandhanam. They offer prayer. Oh God, give us our daily bread. They do not know very much, but the beginning is there. Beginning is there because they have approached Chaturvida bhajante mang, Sukriti Narjana, that going to the church or going to the mosque, that is also pious activities. One day they will come out pure Vaishnava. One day. But that beginning is good. But atheism, don't go to church, don't go to temple, don't go to mosque, this propaganda is very, very dangerous to the human society. Something, do, try to understand that education, that a child is sent to his school, let him learn simply ABCD, it doesn't matter. So, one day, if he is interested, he may become very good scholar. But to give up religion altogether, secular, simply open factory, bolts and nuts, and work hard and drink and take meat, what is this civilization? What is this civilization? Therefore we are suffering. Again, bhava. Here it is said that avidya kama karma bhi, by ignorance, they are thinking, by opening factories, they will be happy. That is avidya, he does not know that it is ignorance. Why you should open factory? This is called ugra karma. There is no need of opening factory. You have got land, here are so many lands, you produce your food grains, annad bhavanti bhutani, you eat sumptuously food grain, milk, and that will be available without any factory. The factory cannot produce more milk or food grain. The present scarcity of foodstuff, everybody is engaged in this city, producing bolts and nuts. Who is producing food grain? This is the solution of economic problem. Annad bhavanti bhutani. Therefore we are trying to engage our men to produce their own food, be self-sufficient, so that this rascal may see that how one can live very peacefully eating the food grains and milk and chant Hare Krishna. This is our mission. We don't deny this food. They are after Daridra Narayan Seva. But why Daridra? Why not cheap Narayan or they rich Narayan? Everyone should be engaged. Bhagavat Prasadam. We don't make any distinction, Daridra Narayan or rich Narayan, Dhani Narayan. Everyone, come on, take Prasadam. So, this process of Krishna consciousness should be very vigorously propagated all over the world, simply by seeing the deity, simply by joining Hare Krishna mantra chanting, Savanam Kirtanam. Here it is said, Jat Kirtanam. The Kirtana word is first used. Simply by Kirtanam. Jat Kirtanam, Jat Smaranam. If you perform Kirtan, then you will be able to think of Krishna. That I have danced 2 hours, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. What is the meaning? That is Smaran, again Smaranam, Krishna. He may think that foolishly I have chanted for 2 hours, Krishna, Krishna. That means again Smaranam. Krishna caught up. Then, just Ikhanam. So, just like people are purchasing our Krishna book, because Krishna movement is going on, so they are purchasing out of curiosity. What is this Krishna? Let us see. Jadikhanan, let us see the book. And immediately he will see the picture, Radha Krishna. Jadikhanam. And if they open the book, they will see more. Jadikhanam. Then there is Bandhanam. There are so many prayers glorifying Krishna. Then Savarang, others will hear, somebody will read. And then, if he is fortunate enough, he will become Krishna conscious, Jad Arahanam. He will be engaged in the worshipping of deity. So, Lokasya Shadda Vidunati Kalmasam. These processes, Savanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, so perfect that as soon as you take them, not all of them, either all of them or some of them or at least one of them, then what happens? Lokasya Sadda Vidhunoti Kalmasam Tasmai Subhadra Sabasi no Nama. I am offering worship to that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Simply by remembering Him, simply by glorifying Him, simply by seeing so many things happen. So Sukadeva Goswami, the authority, is one of the authority. Vaiyasaki. Boli Vyasa Vaiyasaki. Out of 12 authorities, Sukadeva Goswami is authority. Mahajana Jena Gatasya Pantha, we have to follow the authority. So he says, simply by performing this process, Savanam Kirtanam Vishnu, then whatever, Lokasya Sadda Vidhunoti Kalmasam, this material contamination will be washed off. Lokasya Sadda. When washed off? Immediately, sir, immediately. No waiting. Sadhya. This is Krishna consciousness movement. Thank you very much.
Jai Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming to hear. This is another wonderful lecture by Srila Prabhupada. And many times he broke down the processes of serving, the Shravanam, the Kirtanam, into so many situations, all the way up to book distribution, where he mentioned that Ikshanam, people want to see the books, and then from there, by seeing the picture of the deity Radha Krishna, they can become connected, and eventually they become devotees themselves. Sukadeva Goswami is telling us in this Srimad Bhagavatam the way to Krishna. Hare Krishna. So now, dear devotees, this is the time to unmute yourself if you want to share some realizations from this, and or ask some questions if you want to, or connect the dots, connecting what you've heard now to some of the things that you may have realized from other lectures that you want to share for devotees to hear, please do that then. You can just unmute yourself and share. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance to God to Srila Prabhupada.
God bless you, Prabhupada.
This is a very powerful class by Srila Prabhupada. I mean, a
Mhm.
lot of instructions on everything that is needed for Krishna consciousness. It's like,
Mhm.
but it's a class that I think that we have to keep playing over and over again, and even read the transcription over and over again, and take some notes over and over again, because it's really powerful. He talked a lot about that the 9 processes. He talked about the book distribution. He talked about deity worship. He talked about, saying yes to Krishna, surrendering. He talked about the weaknesses in deity worship. He talked about Shraddha. He talked about hearing. I mean, the list goes on. That I think that this is this lecture is Prabhupada is giving us the fundamental principles of Krishna consciousness and the foundation of Krishna consciousness, and very clear instructions, very, very clear, and lots of warnings. So it's very powerful, very powerful. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, so many things mentioned that would help us have a good understanding about what we're supposed to do in Krishna consciousness. Definitely, Srila Prabhupada went through that to help us. And in his genius way of presenting things, he broke it down so simply. And even I remember talking about even the power of prayer, which is one of the 9 processes of serving, that the Christians and the Muslims, they go to the church and the mosque and they offer prayers. Therefore, they also are Vaishnavas, but at a lower level. In other words, they're not chanting, they're not at the point where devotees are at in terms of the seriousness and the level of surrender and worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the devotion service. But at least they also offer prayer, and they intend to offer prayer to the Lord. Therefore, they also at some point can, if they're more curious for spiritual knowledge, they can also come up to the level of a Vaishnava. Hare Krishna. Any other points, realizations, or questions? I put down a few
Actually,
things.
I do have I
Mhm.
do have a question. If you can shed some light on initially in the lecture, Prabhupada was mentioning a similarity between marginal and internal potency. Can you shed some light on that, please?
There are 3 potencies: internal potency, where Krishna operates from regularly. Then the external potency, that's separated, that gives avidya, ignorance in the material world. Then there's the marginal potency. And Srila Prabhupada said that the marginal potency and the internal potency are of the same quality. Marginal simply because for us in the human bodies, we have a choice of being Krishna conscious or not Krishna conscious. So you can imagine like we are straddling the line between light and darkness. And that is the margin. We can choose to go to the internal or spiritual, the energy of the Lord, and that is light, that is to our advantage, or we can choose to be in Maya and in darkness. But because the marginal energy also involves the internal energy, so they're not all the same quality. The external energy, on the other hand, is a separated energy of the Lord that keeps ignorance, and Maya is head of that, Krishna is giving Maya control of that external energy. And there are demigods in control, like Durga, and the people appeal to her, although they're all connected with Krishna, but they have that responsibility for the external energy. So internal energy, and because the marginal energy also involves the internal energy, then they are the same quality. Whereas the external energy is just total ignorance. And
So
that's where most people are in. Okay.
So, very interesting point, because even though the marginal, lack of a better word, is someone who has 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of a thing, where it's the borderline between the material and the spiritual. Even though the marginal potency has some internal potency, not complete internal potency, still it's similar to the internal potency Prabhupada said, right?
The point Srila Prabhupada is making, you looked at it as a person straddling both on the fence means both the internal and the external potency. But marginal really has to be looked at it this way, that there's a choice. You can't be in the external and the internal at the same time. You are either in the internal or external. If you give an example or analogy of the light, then we can say that a person can be in light or in darkness. And as you well know, a person cannot be in light and darkness at the same time. The only thing is, actually, the energies are the internal and the external. Marginal is because we have a free choice to either be in the internal or the external. We have that choice. And that's why we are looked at as marginal, because we can go to the internal or go to the external. But as far as the internal energy is, it is the same energy as that which describes the marginal. That's why Srila says they are the same quality. That's not to say that marginal is the same as the internal. No, it's not. It's for the reason. The reason is we can make the choice to go one way or the other, light or darkness. So if you look at it only from the point of view of light and darkness, then marginal is right at the border, light and darkness. But light is there, and darkness is also there, and the choice is there. So as long as there's light, that light is the same as or same quality as the internal potency. So in that sense, the Prabhupada described that it is the same internal potency that's there. But when we connect with it, then we are in that. And if we don't, then we are in the darkness. And that's why, because we can go either way, that marginal is actually described. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Now it's very, yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Nobody can sit on the fence, even though there is a fence, but nobody can sit there, because you can't be in light and darkness at the same time. Consciousness doesn't work like that. Either we're in Krishna or you get in Maya. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when we get helped to get out of our Maya, then we come to Krishna again. Mm-hmm. And that happens, especially in the Anatta section, when the devotee takes initiation and then we're trying to get unwanted desires to go away. There's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth situation. We're trying to do the chanting, trying to do the hearing, those are all things that are connected with devotional service in the light, in the internal potency of the Lord. Then we form some temptation and we get into some, offenses and all that, and now we're in the dark. And the spiritual master tries to pull us back into the light. This goes on all the time. So actually, it's not that somebody is sitting at the border, but people just cross back and forth from light to darkness, light to darkness, light to darkness, until they get to the point where the consciousness is so good that they stay in the light and don't go in the darkness anymore. And that is purity. Hare Krishna. So any other questions? Right, we still have a few more minutes, just a few minutes before we hit the hour. So I'll share some of the things that I put down from this lecture. We're very, very, very informative. So when Srila Prabhupada started the text that he quoted, he did in fact talk about growth, bhava, growing. And he explained the 6 changes that occurs when a living entity comes to the material world. There's birth, growth, then person grows from a baby up to a point, and then they just get to a point where they're not growing anymore. We all know that everybody goes up to a certain height, and then they stay at that height. That's maintenance. section. And then there's production, he says production of byproducts, of, the same thing as this, the same species, or for us, babies, production of babies. Then dwindling, and the person becomes older and gets dwindling. And even in human life, we realize if you go to the hospital, you used to be a certain height, but a person begins to dwindle. They lose 1 inch in their height, sometimes 2 inches in their height, and sometimes they even, the spine changes in a little bit and bends a little bit, and now 4 or 5 inches has been lost in height, dwindling. And then, of course, the soul leaves the body, and that's death. So birth, growth, maintenance, or staying for a while, that's the third one. The fourth one, production of the same kind, babies. Fifth one is dwindling, senior citizenship. And then the sixth is death. And Srila Prabhupada described that after death, I'm still alive because we're not these bodies. The physical body that's dead, but we are alive in the subtle body, which is the mind, intelligence, and ego. Everybody has a subtle body. The scientists don't even know about this since they started talking about the scientists. They were thinking that there's nothing apart from the physical body. But they know they have mind, but they can't really categorize mind the way it is done, it's taught to us. They certainly don't know about the soul, nothing about the soul. 1/10,000th, the tip of a hair is the dimension of the soul. So what Krishna says, Tata dehantara prapti. Dehinu asmin yata dehe komari obaram jara. Tata dehantara prapti. So the soul moves through different sizes, as we just categorize small, medium, and large. Small being the baby, medium being the teenager, large being the full-grown adults, like that. The soul is there. And then, tata, similarly, dehantara prapti, which is the time comes when the body is no longer functional, there will be another body to go to. This is what happens in the material world. So Srila Prabhupada explained that, and also explained that every living being is avidya, ignorant in the material world. And then we talked about the things that we've already discussed, the internal and marginal potencies being of the same quality, and external potency is the cause in the material world. Then Srila Prabhupada says, from Brahma down to the insignificant ants, they're all in ignorance. Brahma is thinking to create the universe, or at least the varieties in the universe, because the universe actually comes from Mahavishnu. But Brahma is thinking to create inside the universe all of the different varieties. And human beings are thinking of creating a skyscraper. And the ant is thinking of making a hole that they can go in there and live comfortably and eat. So the propensity is the same. But all of these are temporary. So it is not intelligent to just desire such things. And Srila Prabhupada says, we are in Maya. So at any time, we can forget Krishna. And because of that, the Hare Krishna centers are for chanting, dancing, and serving devotionally. So we don't forget Krishna. When we're always engaged in the service of Krishna, then we can remember him at the time of death. And then our lives will be successful. Then he went back to talking about avidya, ignorance. It's like a thief is stealing and getting punished. He knows he's going to get punished if he gets caught, but he still continues to do it. And some involve themselves in improper sexual activity, and they suffer the consequences of it, but they still involve themselves. And then Srila Prabhupada said, even for ones that are properly, the proper sex, which makes the woman pregnant, even the child delivery is dangerous, not to mention painful. Then when the child comes, the man has to work hard to maintain. Even these days, the women also have to work along with the man to work hard just to maintain. We train, so he says that in our centers, we train the young boys to become brahmachari. Then ultimately, they'll take sannyas. So in the material world, everybody's in anxiety. Even Indra, the king of heaven, is also in anxiety, thinking of being usurped by someone else. Because the fact of the matter is, if he didn't mention it, when there are certain sacrifices or sacrifices, you do 100 of those, you qualify for the position of Indra. So Indra is always thinking that somebody is going to do those sacrifices and come after him. Mm-hmm. He did that actually in the case of Maharaj Prithu. Maharaj Prithu in the fourth canto, when he started doing sacrifices, Indra thought that Prithu Maharaj was doing it in order to become a king of heaven and get away from his position. Prithu Maharaj is a Shaktivesh avatar of the Lord. He doesn't need Indra or Indra's whatever he has. But Indra was thinking that way. Everyone is in anxiety in the material world, Srila Prabhupada says. So Krishna says, surrender to me and you will be relieved. Hmm? And then there are some people who are propagating, and you call them rascals. They're saying any name of God can be chanted. Any name. You can chant Kali and all of those things. They know about Krishna consciousness and Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But then they tell people any other name can be chanted. So now there's Kali Kirtan, which Srila Prabhupada criticized. He says it's not confirmed in the Shastra. There's no such thing as Kali Kirtan. But people are actually trying to get that going on. Hmm? So Shukadev Goswami recommends to glorify the Lord and meditate upon the Lord. Therefore, we go before the deities to see them. In all our various devotional service activities, we are seeing the deities. And he broke down so many things you can do and still be in touch with the deity. But rascals don't come to see the deity because they say it's idol worship. But then, to the Papa made an analogy, they will clean the statues of popular politicians that's been violated by birds passing stool on it, and it hardens, like the statue of Napoleon in France. You saw another one that he mentioned, another statue in India, that people just take brushes and they try to clean the statues outside, and then meantime, the birds keep messing these statues. So what's the use of that? Rather than come to the temple and meditate and see the deity and the beauty of the deity. Then he also praised Christians and Muslims that they are also Vaishnavas, but at a lower level. Because when he talked about Bandhanam, that aspect of service, Bandhanam, prayer, they go to the church to pray. In fact, Muslims have special time they do what they call Nawas. They actually stop wherever they are and pray. In some of the Muslim countries, even the business people close their shops and all of that, just that for that period of time, a few minutes to pray. So they are Vaishnavas at a lower level. They can, in fact, go up. But when it comes to atheism, that's total ignorance. Atheists would rather build factories, produce bolts and nuts, and that's called Ugra Karma. And we want to grow our own food and offer to the deity and chant Hare Krishna. If we perform a kirtan, we will always remember Krishna, and that's Smaranam. And then he talked about the other part too, is Yat Ikshanam. People will see books. They might be curious. They will take the books, let's see what's in there. So book distribution was he was talking about at that time. So slowly, by looking at the books and seeing the pictures of Radha Krishna in the books and then reading the books, they slowly will become Krishna conscious. So Shukadeva Goswami says, Shravanam, Kirtanam removes the material contamination. And he is one of the 12 Mahajans. Mahajana in Kata Safanta. Shukadeva Goswami is one, also called Vyasaki. And so we ought to take this process very seriously and not get pulled into things that are atheistic. That comes from sadhusanga, always associating with devotees. So we're always preaching that our best friends should be devotees. The best friends should be devotees, not anybody. A non-devotee may be nice and acting more than goodness and even saying that they care about us, but they cannot tell us about Krishna. And if they don't tell us about Krishna, what is the use? you don't remember Krishna, he doesn't talk about things, he or she doesn't talk about things to have you remember Krishna, talk only about material things, they're not going to help you at the time of death. And if I could relate a story very quickly to one of my god sisters, her initiated name was Nandini Devi Dasi. She left her body. When she was at the hospital, when she realized she was on a deathbed and she was about to go, family members came to see her. The family members, every one of them was a non-devotee. She was the only devotee in that family. And she's leaving the body. And there are two of my godbrothers, Ikivera Prabhu and Madhavacharya Prabhu, who are also at the hospital. Madhavacharya is a doctor. And Ikivera has been trained in dealing with time of death situations and what to do. They were there. But the Mataji's material family wanted to be around her more. Now, Nandini was weak, of course, because she's on a deathbed. She's dying. And so she couldn't even raise her hands. But she was trying by her facial, she was aware of what was going on. By her facial moves and smiles and so on, and not smiling broadly because she was really in a lot of pain when you're dying. It's like that. She really clearly wanted the two devotees that are God brothers to be around her more. But then the material family was also very concerned about the situation that she's leaving the body. And so it was reported, I wasn't there, but it was reported to be that she kept a straight face, no smile, nothing, when the material family was around. And then when they moved a little bit, and the devotees knew that they had to chant Hare Krishna for her. So when they came closer, only two guys, two Prabhus, and Madhava. When they came closer, then she would manage to smile to them. So to tell them that that's who I want around me, not these people, even though they are my material families. So how important it is that we connect with devotees and maintain a good relationship, because when that time comes, you need all the help you can get. You cannot speak. You can only hear. And so somebody has to be chanting Hare Krishna in your ear, or put something that is a player that plays that Hare Krishna music in bhajan or kirtan, so you can constantly remember the holy name of the Lord. Only devotees would do that. Your best bosom friend who is a non-devotee will not do that. They don't know to do that. That's why it's best to have a friend, maintain good relationships, and also your best friend be a devotee. So you can always talk and think Krishna all the time. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for coming today. So have a wonderful rest of your week in Krishna consciousness. Vanchakalpatarubhesya kripa sundibhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Glory to Srila Prabhupada.